Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome back to another video. On today's quick video, guys, I want to talk about 9 things that to stop doing after age 40 to enjoy wealth in your 50s, or 9 things I stopped doing after age 40 to really get wealthy in my 50s. And I'm going to run through this list, guys. It's not going to be a terribly long live, but it's going to be effective, hopefully. And if you get something out of it, do me a favor, share this information with somebody, share the link to the video with somebody. But it's going to be a fairly quick live today, guys. And I'm on several places. So no matter where you're at, guys, glad to be here. Glad that you're here. Thank you for showing up. Appreciate you so much. But I'm going to give you these 9 things from my own personal experiences, and hopefully this is going to help you. And I'm going to give you some bonuses at the end of other things that I stopped doing. But I thought I'd just leave the title at 9 instead of 14 or 15. But truth be told, guys, when you get to age 40, listen, age 40 to age 60 is like bam, it goes really, really fast. You will wake up one day, you say, wow, I'm 40 years old. Never thought I'd be 40 years old. Next thing you know, you're waking up in your 50s talking about, man, I never thought I'd be 53. I never thought I'd be 54, right? But the older you get, the faster time goes by quicker, right? So I want to give you these things, guys. And this is, again, it's going to be a fairly short live or video today. I started my financial journey at the age of 30, right? I've talked about it a lot on this channel here at Smart Money Bro on YouTube here. But I had a negative net worth of negative $30,000 at the age of 30. And by the time I was 52, I had a 7-figure net worth. Now, I don't say that to brag, boast, or anything like that. What I'm saying that for is to say that if I could do that, anybody can do it. If I could do it starting from where I come from, it's possible. And so it's really encouragement or some type of inspiration, maybe even motivation for some of you to say that if this regular guy who just has a regular old 4-year bachelor's degree, and like that doesn't even really matter, because you don't have to have a bachelor's degree to make it in terms of wealth, right? But I noticed that my 40s was sort of a turning point, and it really began to boost my wealth and allowed me to enjoy the 50s when I was super duper focused in my 40s. And so the first thing, I'm gonna give you these 9 things, and again, I'm gonna give you a few bonuses, guys. Good to have you. Thank you, Mrs. Moore, for being in here. Yeah, guys, please hit the like button for me. So the first thing I did, I'm just going to run through these, guys. The first thing I did when I was in my 40s is I stopped paying debt with you got to hear me on this one, because this one was really, really important. I had a focus on paying off debt. And so what I did when I was probably about 41, 42 is I stopped paying debt with the money that I had left over every month. Because you know how we do, right? We have all our expenses, we pay everything off, and then we say, "Oh, what do I have left? Oh, I got some debt. I got some debt that I want to pay off. Let me put something towards the debt." Instead of paying debt with the money I had left over, I started paying debt like a bill, if that makes sense. So, in other words, I used to pay all my bills and pay off the debt with what was left. But in my 40s, I started doing a zero-based budget where I spent every single dime on paper first. So I figured out how much. So I did that a couple times, figured out how much I'd have left. And I turn around and put that amount at the top in the line item that said debt. So in other words, I penciled in my debt. Instead of paying what's left on the debt, I paid an exact amount on the debt every month at the top of my budget. So it was like mortgage, food, debt at the very top, right, of the entire budget. So that was important because it made me put the debt up above. And then if I had to adjust anything, it was that miscellaneous money that was going on, miscellaneous items. So if that makes sense, guys, in other words, I stopped paying debt with the money I had left over, and I started prioritizing getting out of debt as at the top of the budget. And it sort of changed the focus. So, we've done other videos on this channel where you've seen my budget. And if you haven't, feel free to go back and look at them. But in my budget, I kind of prioritize things. So the most important things are at the top, and I do a split budget, a monthly split budget. And so I pay bills on the first with this, and I pay bills on the 15th with this, and it's all under one tab, but it's split into two different halves, like a biweekly budget, right? But in that biweekly budget, at the very top, it was debt. So I was paying it like I was paying the electric bill. I was paying it like I was paying the mortgage. I was paying it like I was paying for food, water, lights, whatever it was, right? That's one of the first things I did when I was in my early 40s that helped me say, when by the time I got to my 50s, I'm very, very organized. Remember, I'm doing a monthly budget all the time. Second thing was this. Second thing I stopped doing after age 40 so that I would enjoy wealth, have more money, and be rich in my 50s was I stopped focusing on other people's stuff and I got really like laser focused on my stuff. In other words, I kind of got tunnel vision, understanding what my vision was for my money, my goal, right? So what happens a lot of times, guys, is we get we get on social media or whatever, we get to looking at other people's stuff, and next thing you know, we looking over here, we looking over there. Oh, they got that, they got that. Next thing you know, our God-given goals and gifts and process and path is in front of us. But a lot of times what happens is we start looking at the neighbor and the friends and the other people that just takes focus off of what we're trying to do with our money because everybody's finances is different. You look to the side and you look at your friends' finances, you don't really know what they got. You know what you see. You look over on the other side, you think this person doesn't have a whole lot, but they got a whole lot. And next thing you know, you're so preoccupied with other people's stuff that you miss your own stuff that you should be focused on. So I got laser focused on me, even though, it was around that time in my early 40s when I started selling on eBay and, the internet, 2012, 2013, 2014, these, I didn't get on social media till 2014 or 15. But the point is that I had to get focused on what I was doing. So I left that whole notion of being worried about what other people are doing, right? Because when you worry about other people doing, it just takes away from what you got to do. So I really got laser focused on my goals in my 40s. The third thing I did, remember, I'm giving you 9 of these plus a bunch of bonuses. So hang in there with me. And it's not going to be a very long video. The third thing I did that I stopped doing in my 40s to enjoy wealth in my 50s and be wealthy in my 50s was I stopped thinking and believing that I had to spend a lot of money to have a lot of fun, right? So I took the onus off of stuff, right? I finally understood the concept that stuff doesn't make you happy, right? Stuff should not be bringing you a bunch of joy because if you do that, I learned that if you're giving too much power to the stuff, right? The sooner I got to the point where I didn't need stuff to make me happy or stuff to bring me joy, little things began bringing me joy, and that's all the more money I had to be putting towards debt or to be building up my savings or to be building up my investments, right? But I had to get to the point where, and also it removed a lot of stress, right? When you stop worrying about stuff, you can go out and take a walk in the park and feel just as good as if you took that trip or that big old vacation that's going to cost you a lot of money. I stopped trying to keep up with the Joneses and started keeping up with just understanding that I don't have to have all this extra stuff just to feel good. Stuff is not the whole point of money. It's not just getting a whole bunch of stuff and if I get that car, and if I get those shoes, if I get that whatever. But I had to get over the notion that stuff equals happiness, right? Because as long as you believe that stuff equals happiness, then you got to keep getting stuff to be happy. If that makes any sense. It's like insatiable. You got to keep getting stuff. Got to keep filling up you got to feel good. This is why, people today, and I know people that they shop on Amazon from the comfort of their living room. They shop it on Amazon, and every 3 or 4 days they got an Amazon box dropped off because it's just this insatiable feeling of, and being a shopaholic is a real thing, right? But just trying to keep up with the Joneses, I let it go. I let the Joneses be the Joneses, right? The fourth thing I did that I stopped doing out in my 40s is I stopped doing extra work that I hated doing. Let me give you an example. I said I sold on eBay, and some of you know this story, some of you don't. For 6 years, because my daughter needed to get through college with no debt, so we wanted to pay her way through college with no debt. So in 2010, 2011, I was working at Home Depot part-time in the flooring department. I remember sometime even before that, I was folding clothes at Eddie Bauer for Christmas season, trying to make these. So what I said in 2013 in my 40s is I said, I'm not going to be doing something for 8, 9, 10, 12, $15 an hour when I know that what I can do is worth more than $15 an hour. So I'm going to figure out what can I do on the side to maybe make extra money and not just sit around and do something I hate doing. So that's when I started on eBay. I said, wow, this is pretty cool. I can buy stuff low and sell stuff high. I can buy a pair of shoes for $4 at the thrift store and turn around and flip it for $50 on eBay. This is pretty cool. So I did that for 6 years on eBay, sold over $100,000 worth of stuff just out of my house, doing it 10, 12 hours a week, no big deal. And 100% positive feedback, more than 3,700 separate transactions. The point is that I got tired of going out and working for other people when I knew I had it in me to work for myself. So I started an eBay store, and since then I haven't went out and got another job. I just do what I do on my own, right? I'm here on YouTube. I've got some one-on-one services I offer. So I just stopped doing work that I hated doing because I got to the point where I said I could do this stuff and make more money myself. The fifth thing I did is that I intentionally stopped wasting money on things going down in value. I stopped having payments on stuff. When I was about 41, 42 years old, I had my last car payment. Never had a car payment since. When I was about 41, 42, I got rid of all of my credit cards. Haven't used a credit card since. So I know that's different and odd, and some people don't like that. Some people say, well, you got to keep a credit card. Okay, if that's what you want to do, that's cool, right? I didn't need to do that to build my wealth. I didn't have to do that. And so I just did not want to. I got sick and tired of debt, and especially debt on stuff that's going down in value. So I totally intentionally stopped wasting money on things that were depreciating. And everything that I did and I worked on and I put money towards was things that was going up in value, right? Rental properties, right? Investments in the stock market, ETFs, index funds, right? And that was a big one because what that allowed me to do was when I start looking at my net worth statement twice a year, that thing started to really move because now I see my liabilities going down. Now I see my assets going up. Sweet. I really start seeing movement in my net worth when I stopped focusing and putting effort and money towards stuff that was just going to be worth $20,000 a day, but was then going to be worth $15,000 in a year and then $10,000 in 2 years. That's working backwards, right? So I totally got out of that mood of working backwards and I started lobbing money into things going up in value. Now, the sixth thing I did, sixth thing I stopped to doing after age 40 to become wealthy after age 50 is I stopped contributing just the minimum to my job's retirement plan. It just wasn't enough. Excuse me, right? So what I said was instead of just contributing the minimum to my retirement plan, I'm going to up the ante on that thing, right? So instead of doing three, because for a lot of years, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. For a lot of years, and when I say a lot of years, I mean 15 years, 12 to 15 years. I only put 3 to 5% of my money towards my what they call a thrift savings plan when you work for the federal government. 3 to 5% was it. But it was in my 40s. I said, I need to get better with this. I need to up this thing. This is crazy. So I upped it. Oh, by the way, let me throw in this bonus. Not only did I up the amount that I was putting towards my retirement plan at my job, but I also refinanced my primary residence to a 15-year mortgage in my 40s. This is a bonus, right? This is not one of the ones I was even thinking about talking about. But I refinanced my 30-year mortgage to a 15-year mortgage. That did a whole lot. That maybe should have been number one. And I know a lot of you say, well, you can just always pay extra and invest it. I get it. Whatever works for you. I'm telling you what worked for me. So I stopped contributing the minimum to my job's retirement plan, and I stopped having a primary mortgage on a 30-year note. And I just paid it because I wanted to go ahead and get this thing paid down as soon as possible. Now, the seventh thing that I stopped doing, remember, I got 9 plus some bonuses. Hit the like button for me. The seventh thing that I stopped doing, if you come in here late, rewind to the beginning, is after age 40, I stopped ignoring my investments. And my investments, not only did I stop contributing the minimum, but I started really focusing on the investments. I stopped sort of ignoring them and pushing them to the side and never looking at them. I stopped that whole practice of just like, oh, okay, 3%, 5%, no big deal. I started paying closer attention to them, made my investments of things going up in value the focal point of everything I was doing. The eighth thing I stopped was here's a big one. This was really important. I stopped taking the foods that I was eating for granted. And you might be saying, well, how did that help you with wealth? Well, it made me healthier. And a lot of times people that build wealth and talk about money, and talk about retirement, all that, we kind of forget about this whole taking care of your body thing. But I think that's really, really important, taking care of your body, because when you get into your 50s and 60s, your health is very important. So what if you saved up $1 million, $2 million? If you're not healthy enough to enjoy it, what difference does it make? Right? So I stopped taking the foods that I was eating for granted. I believe how strongly that health is wealth, right? So I started treating my food like medicine. So I stopped eating beef in my 40s. I stopped eating pork in my 40s. I don't even eat chicken. I stopped eating so much fish, right? I got to really, if you follow me on Patreon, and you kind of go behind the scenes, or you follow me on IG, you'll see that the way I eat is a little bit different, right? And I kind of stopped a lot of that stuff that would perhaps harm me in terms of my wealth. I'm health. I started taking my health serious. Now I always took my health sort of serious, right? Always work out and stuff like that. But the eating part is what I really had to change to feel a lot better. And I did that in my 40s because I want to be around in my 60s, 70s to enjoy this money. So I wanted to develop that habit as soon as I could. And it's really become a lifestyle. Now, the ninth thing that I stopped doing after age 40 that helped me enjoy wealth and helped me get wealthy in my 50s is I stopped neglecting my future self. I stopped thinking that I would be young forever. Now, probably if you're young right now, you're saying, listen, as you get older, getting up from sitting on the floor, becomes an issue, right? So I stopped neglecting my future self in a lot of different ways, and some of them I talked about already. But one of the ways was I started making sure that the best person to take care of the old me is going to be the young me. So I made a concerted effort to make sure that I organized my financial life and all of my financial stuff, meaning that I went out and got an estate plan. I made sure that all the insurances were taken care of. I made sure that all the beneficiaries were taken care of. In other words, I sort of put my financial house in order, got organized in my 40s so that I could start seeing, tracking, building, paying attention to, being intentional about the wealth into my 50s and 60s, right? Now, some bonus stuff you have to stop doing, or that is very important. One bonus is I stopped wasting time. Like in my 40s, I got real particular about how I spend my time. So I started valuing my time. Every day, I'm writing down a list of things that I need to accomplish and get done for the day. It's not a long list. Sometimes everything on the list doesn't get done. But I started to take my time a lot more serious as time begins to wind up, right? We're all getting older. So I started putting a premium on my time. Another thing I did, another bonus is this. I limited, this may sound kind of mean or harsh, and I don't want to sound mean or harsh. I just want to be honest with you. I stopped, I'm limited my circle of people. I was very careful about the circle of people. If the circle of people is bringing you down, you're going to have to change your circle of people, right? I changed a little, I sort of changed my circle into people that was where I want to be or where I want to go. Not just my circle of people, but what I was intaking, what I was reading, what I was paying attention to, what I was, what YouTube channels I was subscribed to, all those things, because I wanted to go in a certain direction. And listen, when you start winning with money, people will resent you. People will not like you just because you're winning with money, or they know you're winning with money, or they see you winning with money. You need to distance yourself from those type of people as you start to go through your money journey, your financial journey. That's what I had to do. Change the circle of people. The other thing I had to do was stop beating myself up. I made a lot of mistakes, and I've done videos on the mistakes I made with money, right? I've done a number of videos on those, from foreclosures on property to overdrafting credit cards to you name it, right? To my one of my biggest ones, right? When I was 18 years old, when I had that car finance with a 20+% interest rate and no air conditioner, right? Silly me. But the point is, I made a bunch of mistakes with money. When you get in your 40s, if you want to really move forward with your personal finances, you have to stop beating yourself up over the mistakes you made with money, the mistakes you made in life, the mistakes you made with kids that you had. You got to leave that stuff behind, and you got to move forward. The key to a mistake is just don't repeat the mistake, right? Everybody's going to make some, but just don't keep making the same mistake over and over and over. And just do a few things right along the way, and you'll be fine. But I had to stop beating myself up over the mistakes I made in the past. They're in the past for a reason, right? You got to live life looking forward and moving forward with your money, with your life, with whatever you're doing. Another thing I did, another bonus is this. I stopped pushing my finances under the rug, right? I stopped putting off attacking the debt. I stopped masking and covering up and avoiding the big old elephant in the room that I look like I have money, but I really don't have money. That's the elephant in the room. And oftentimes, you're the only person in that room that can see that elephant because you're the only person that knows your personal finances. The thing I had to do was I had to face the music, right? When I was 40 years old and I had a $100,000, $90,000 net worth, probably a little less than that when I turned 40, right? $80,000 net worth. I had to face that. You can't just put it all off until a later date because you think that you don't feel like it or you don't want to, or you don't have the courage to face it. You got to face all those fears, face all your mistakes that you made so that you won't make them again. And you have to actually attack your personal finances. They just don't happen to you. You just don't build wealth just because. That don't happen. You don't go from $100,000 net worth to $1 million net worth just because you chilling. No, you have to be intentional about it. And you have to face it, look at it, and work on it, and keep working on it, and be patient, be persistent, be disciplined, have good habits. You got to do all the right stuff to get to where you want to go. And the problem with a lot of people is they like to sweep the personal finances under the rug. They don't want to do a budget because the budget is going to reveal themselves to themselves, and they don't want to face themselves and the things they could be doing better. But if you want to start winning in your 50s and start in your 40s, this is what you got to do. The other thing is this, another bonus, and I told you I had a bunch of bonuses, is I had to stop being too scared to take risk. See, fear holds a lot of people back with personal finances. You're Goes back to the one I just mentioned. You're scared to look at your personal finances because you know they messed up, right? You have to learn how to operate and act with your personal finances and really in your life despite the fear. Every time I press record on this button, record on this right here, it's a little bit of fear, but I have to go ahead and do it anyway, even though there's some fear there. You have to look at your personal finances anyway, despite the fear. You have to have enough courage to look at what you've been doing with your money in order to make changes with your money, right? Think about Alcoholics Anonymous. What do they say? You have to admit that my name is so and so and I'm an alcoholic. That's the first step. You got to admit that my name is so and so and I messed up with my money for 25 years if you want to fix it. But fear is a natural emotion. You just can't let it stifle you or keep you in bondage because that will keep you in poverty and that will keep you broke because you're too scared to do something new. You're too scared to try something new. You're too scared to go try to get that certification. You're too scared to go get that associate's degree or to become that plumber or become that construction worker or become that mechanic or get that engineering degree or get that PhD that you know you can get, but you're a little bit nervous about it, right? You have to get over the fear in order to build some wealth because you're going to have to do some things that you ain't never done. And if you don't have the courage to do them, you're just going to be stuck where you are. And 10 years later, you'll be 55 years old wondering why you never did XYZ. You got to try new stuff. Again, stop. I had to stop putting the old me last and start putting the old me first. Now, this is 9 things that I had to stop doing after age 40 to build wealth in my 50s. So by the time I got to be 52, starting at zero, starting at negative 30,000, by the time I really hit it hard in my 40s. This is the time. This is why you see me do a lot of videos about the 40s because the 40s is big. As I said in one video, the 40s is coming out of halftime. This is your third quarter of life in your 40s. 40s and 50s is really the third quarter, but your 40s is the beginning, the first half of the third quarter of your life, and is so crucial. You can mess up in your 20s. 90% of us did, right? You can mess up in your 20s. 90% of us did. You can mess up in your 30s almost. 75% of us did that too. But if you mess up in your 40s, your 50s, you're playing catch up. And your 60s is hard to catch up. So that's why your 40s is so crucial. But these are things that I stopped doing after age 40. Guys, let me see where we're at here in the chat. Listen, I don't want to make this a long video. Quick, to the point, point blank. If you know someone that you can use this information, please share it with them. Right? Again, this is not to brag or boast. It's just to say that if this dude did it, then that means you can do it. Right? That's one of the things that I always did in life, right? Whenever I saw somebody, I said, okay, this is how I learned how to sell shoes on eBay. This is how I learned how to buy rental properties and own and manage rental properties. This is how I learned a lot of things. This is how I learned how to do YouTube. If that person did it, that means it's possible. And I'm a human being too. So guess what? That means if that person did it, I can do it. So let me give it a shot. Boom. So what I'm saying is if I did it, you can do it too. And there's people that have done way better, way more than what I've done, right? But it's to say that it's possible for you. That's all I have for you. That's all I wanted to share with you. I just wanted to share this piece of motivation, of encouragement to say, this is what I stopped doing. Maybe you should try stop doing those things too. If you agree with what I'm saying, give me a like on this video. Drop a comment below after this video gets posted, right? Check out stuff we got in the description box. I'm not even going to go over that stuff. I just want to share this information with you guys, and I hope this was helpful for you. I hope it was some type of inspiration to you guys, okay? Because a lot of times what some people need is they just need a kick in the right direction. That's some friendly encouragement, right? A lot of times what people don't need is they don't need somebody to they need somebody to be a little straightforward. Let me just put it like that. Sometimes people need people just to be straightforward and stop hemming and hawing and beating around the bush and helping them, in their, you gotta help, you gotta push people, right? Sometimes people just need a push, right? So if you got anything out of this video, hit the like button, a short one today. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Mrs. Moore, as always. I appreciate you, Bridget. Thank you so much, Ren, Brian, and so forth, guys. Look, as I always say, the absolute best person who's going to take care of the old you is not the government. It's not the nursing home. It's not your children or your grandchildren. It don't even matter who the president is, right? The best person that's going to take care of the old you is the young you, the you today, the you that can breathe and blink and move and have energy today. That's the best person to take care of the old you. Guys, take good care of yourself and take care of other people. Until the next video, peace.